Hey, beautiful people. It's your girl Rocky from Rocky's Reactions and the It's a Real podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, help us grow our channel, and get monetized, okay? Today on Rocky's Reactions, make sure you check out the rest of the playlist. Got plenty of episodes on there and more to come. I'm going to strive for 2 a week. I'm reacting to the Roommates podcast, Do Men Want Independent Women? I'll put the link in the description box below. Yes, I know I could have the video on here, but that takes more editing and slows down my upload time. I'm just saying, help me to hire a video editor by subscribing. Thank you. All right, so let's get into it, shall we? Make sure you also check out Life is Rocky, my personal YouTube channel with my Becoming a Feminine Woman series. I'll put that link in the description box below as well. I talk about a lot of these content that other creators are talking about, and instead of reacting, which I do on this channel, I'm just discussing my thoughts about these different topics. So make sure you go over there, check that out, subscribe here, and then like, share, and take a listen. And let me know what you think in the comments below. All right, let's get to it.
The longer someone has not been married, the longer someone's used to being independent and by themselves, it becomes extremely difficult to now merge with another person.
Boy. I was single for 7 years, y'all. 7 years, I was not in a committed relationship. Now, of those 7, I was in some situationships. 1 for 3 years, 1 for 2 years. So that takes out 5 years. So technically, I was only single and minding my damn business for 2 years. But because I couldn't depend on neither of those situationships because I knew they weren't committed, I was single, y'all. And I could do whatever the fuck I wanted and didn't have to consider anybody else. And when you in that for 7 years, and then you get into a committed relationship and you do have to consider someone else, the thought of, why do I have to put up with this shit when I could just be single is there. So many times. Okay, let me just say, I was like, I could just be single and in peace and not have to do with any of this fucking work. But the work was worth it. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I'm in a much better space, and I'm very much more appreciative of my life partner, of our partnership. But good God, it was a couple times in there. I was like, I could be living on my own. I could be just in peace, and it'd be great. Now, I will say, Oso and I have separate bedrooms, and I definitely recommend, I know people be up in arms, but first of all, check your definition of relationship. If your whole relationship deteriorates because you're not sleeping in the same bed, I'm wondering what's going on there. Because we show plenty of affection. We have sleepovers, although we prefer naps together. Sexy time does not get interrupted, okay? He comes into my bedroom every morning, I'm just saying. Morning cuddles, and if it leads to something else, you know? So yeah, like, but we also work together, so we have a lot of time together, so we do need sanctuaries apart. And then that's what people be talking about with man caves and she sheds and all that stuff. Like, think about it. But it also allows us to maintain our individuality. I was single for a lot longer than he was, but it allows me to keep my space, you know, so I don't, like, when you think about a bedroom, like, you gotta, that's your morning and your night and whatever in between. Like, that's all considering someone else with the decorations, with the sleeping, the waking, just the being there. Like, you know, having my own space works. So, I feel you, Hafiz. I feel you.
Now, put your lives together for the two to become one. Then you
also, in Oso and I's life partnership, we do not subscribe to oneness. I know biblically, that's all up in there. We don't believe in the Bible, so there we go. But what we do practice is togetherness. I'm a whole individual, he's a whole individual, and then we also have a whole entity of our partnership. So those are 3 different relationships intertwined with each other, acting in togetherness. But if anything were to happen to our partnership, we're still 2 whole individuals. We did not lose ourselves. This is not, you're my other half, you complete me bullshit. Like, nah, I'ma still be intact. I just prefer to do life with you together, okay? I don't subscribe to oneness at all because yes, I do feel like you lose yourself in that because you're literally like, nah, that's not me.
You add that to the point where you're an independent person. I like things this way. I like things that way. And now you want a masculine, driven, ambitious man who is structured, who is focused, who has his kingdom. Now you want him to bend to you.
So we're building our kingdom together, and I prefer empire. Again, subscribe.
Why men don't desire independent women? Because like I said, I think there's this idea that men, two things, is the belief that, oh, men want women like this. Men say they want women like this. No. Don't believe the facade.
Make sure you check out our new podcast episode, Why Modern Women Won't or Don't Submit. I forget what the actual title is. Something around modern women not submitting. And we did talk about men wanting traditional wives. So definitely check that episode out. I can put the link in the description box below. I can release this in more so time with that. But yeah, that's definitely a good episode. Check that out. Either audio wise, or we will release the full podcast video on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe. And we'll also put some clips out as well.
They don't.
The microphone costs a lot of money.
Yeah. and the second thing is that men don't want independent, strong women because they're intimidated. And that's not.
And this goes to my Becoming a Feminine Woman series where I was talking about, I need a man who can handle me and all that bullshit, which I used to subscribe to. But that's not a man choosing peace. Like you saying, oh, well, he's intimidated by me. He can't handle me. I need a man who, like, the man has an option over peace and dealing with your bullshit because you can't humble yourself. I mean, what do you think they're going to choose? What would you choose?
Not the case at all. We'll talk about that a little bit later once we dive into it. But one of the challenges of an independent woman, this is one of the reasons why men don't want them, is because independence is not something that you need in a long-term relationship.
Interdependence. Like, I got you, you got me. We're partners. We're teammates. Like, remember, belonging and love is an essential, fundamental human need. That means we need other people. We are social creatures. So this whole, I don't need a man, one, that's a good way for men not to choose you and not to stick around. But two, yes, we do need other people. Like, get off your high horse. Yes, we do. We need support. Especially if you're going through life stressors, all the stuff, ups and downs. Like, yes, having somebody that's able to support you along the way is needed. Now, sure, that doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. That could be friends. That could be a therapist. You know, like, there are options, but you do need somebody.
You actually need interdependence. Yeah. The more independent a person is, the less likely they can have a long-term relationship.
An ad is coming. So, get your money, but I can't skip it just yet. Here we go. Hey!
Interesting study that analyzed divorce rates by years. And most people are aware of the first truth, which is the younger you get married, the higher the divorce rates. So late teens, early 20s, the divorce rates are relatively high.
And that's because you don't know yourself, so you just chose somebody based on the stuff you didn't know. So then when you figure out yourself, you're like, ooh, this person not matching with who I am, and I didn't chose them anyway, so divorce.
And what is the reasoning, Chris, why divorce rates are high during that time? Immaturity. A lot of times, people are not ready, instability, all these things. That's why the divorce rates aren't high. So what happens is divorce rates are high, And then all of a sudden it goes down as people get older into their mid-20s, mid to late 20s, right? And most people think what's going to happen is in the 30s it's going to go down, 40s it's going to go down, da 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 da. No. What happens is then after the late 20s, early 30s, it goes back up. And the problems that are true, the divorce rates that are high in your early 20s are also high in your 30s. Because what they find is that the longer someone has not been married, the longer someone's used to being independent and by themselves, it becomes extremely difficult to now merge with another person, to now put your lives together for the two to become one. Then you add that to the point where you're an independent person. I like things this way. I like things that way. And now you want a masculine, driven, ambitious man who is structured, who is focused, who has his kingdom. Now you want him to bend to you. And so what they realize is that at a certain age, those marriages are just unstable at the early 20s.
Yeah, I say to the point, like, Oso is very picky when it comes to food. He says he's not. He is very much so. But so like I like a variety of breakfast foods where he's very picky. He only likes a certain number of things. So for breakfast, I can't make stuff for us together because he doesn't like what I like. So, and I was foregoing what I like to eat so that way I could cook for us together. And I was like, no, I'm sacrificing what I actually like to eat. And I loved breakfast. Breakfast was the most joyous meal. I like making, like, breakfast and lunch are my highlights. Like, I really enjoy, like, salads and sandwiches and yogurts and just toast and eggs and just, I like those meals. You know, once I really started investing in cooking and eating the way that I wanted, because I was independent, I ain't have to consider nobody else. I was like, ooh, I like this. So now in my partnership, like having to consider someone else and also like what he doesn't like, what allergies and stuff like that is yeah. I was like, I can't do this. I need to eat what I want to eat and I'm gonna just make something separate for you. So like now we're, in a routine and stuff. So we have certain things that I can eat. I can cook for both of us that we like to eat. But then sometimes I'm like, hey, I'm doing my own thing. I'll make you separate stuff that I know you like. And then it's like having to cook two different things. When the kids come, they better choose because there ain't gonna be a third option. But yeah, like I'm now making a lot of different stuff. So then it had to be, okay, I gotta meal prep and do pre-made stuff because I can't be cooking extensively different meals all at once, then eat it, then have to clean it. Check out my Becoming a Feminine Woman series episode where I talked about my wifely duties. But yeah, and again, the link to Becoming Feminine Woman series on Life is Rocky is in the description box below. Please subscribe there. Please subscribe here. Like, share. Conversations need to be had. But yeah, so I realized in that I wasn't willing to do it. Now he still gets fed, so I still make sure that happens. But yeah, it is hard. Now I'm gonna say that. It's hard.
So that's something that people don't talk about. That being independent is actually the wrong skill if you want to create a long-term relationship.
Man, I hope they heard that, bro. I hope they heard that. Because if you don't have the ability to compromise and to practice sacrificial love, then yeah, your marriage would not last.
Tell the story about that girl that you went to her party.
Yeah. So yeah, it was this girl, she was...
What did I just say? And the compromise for me was, I'm going to still make you food. And again, meal prep, so it makes it easier for me. But I was like, yeah, I want to eat what I want to eat. And then sometimes we'll eat together and we'll have meals that we both like. But I just like more variety of foods. So I'm going to eat it. So we have days where, again, I cook for us together. of what we're gonna eat, and then we have days where I make stuff for him, and I eat something different, and then some days where I just, it's not pre-made, I'm just making different things. So when kids come, they're having choices between those two options. Look, I gave you two options, but I ain't making a third. Nope. When you start making your food, then you can make what you want, cause this work and energy. But yeah. Oh, it's gonna be an interesting time. But yeah, like you still have to consider that person, you know? You still have to consider him.
It was attractive. Come on now, it's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went over there, and it was her world. And I walked in, and I could see everything was organized, everything was neat, and it was just her space. And I would begin to ask her questions. She didn't know she was on the hot seat, but because I got spidey tinklings of single. When we've been on tour and stuff, we can see things. So I'm just like, okay, so how is it living by yourself? How have you ever had roommates before? Okay, I never have a roommate. I can never have. What's wrong with having a roommate? I don't like people around my things. I don't like people touching these things. I have my life, my way, my order.
Now, mind you, I've had roommates all my life. There was a 6-month period where I had the house to myself, and it was so joyous, to the point in those moments where I'm like, it would be so much simpler. I did think about it. I thought about us living in separate houses, but I think it's just quarantine. We're around each other too much. Like when we were working, we had different schedules, so I would have the house to myself at some points, but quarantine just changed things. And then I'm not going back into the office. So yeah, but when we have 2 floors, like right now we're in a 1-floor duplex. But when we have 2 floors, that helps. And then again, different work schedules and stuff like that. But also like I need to take solo vacations. Like having a space to myself I need it. It's it allows me to recharge and come back to our relationship more fulfilled. But I've had roommates, and I have a roommate right now. She went somewhere for the weekend, and it was so nice. Because it's like, you gotta consider other people. So, I mean, I'm good with my partner, but yeah, you have to figure out what you individually need and then see if there are ways to get that. So like, again, solo vacations for me are a way for me to get that. And my partner needs it too. He needs his alone time too. And having the house himself. Like there's a peace and stillness when it's just you, But if you had no practice in living with someone else, that would be a red flag.
All these things. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, all right, so what about your siblings? How you get along with your parents and things like that? Well, I kind of like my own space. I always want to be controlled. And, sometimes, and little side note, I think she said this. I could be wrong, but I think she said this, that her mother practiced so much independence that they had separate rooms from her father. Her mother and her father did not sleep in the same room together. So you take that, practice, put that into, a daughter. I get there, I'm sitting there like, man, this is her world.
Yeah.
And I remember her telling me, like, I was like, so what's one of your biggest fears? And she was saying, like, when I find a guy that we would just become roommates, because I feel like I just only would want his company, because I don't need him from anything else.
Yeah.
So sex drive wasn't high, didn't desire to be touched, to be intimate, those things. I just want an attractive guy there and talk to him when I want to.
Yeah.
And I felt...
This is not build a man. The fuck? These entitled ass women, girl.
That.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying we got in bed.
Yeah.
And we're like, you follow me. I'm just saying, we were
there,
there, Fizz. Okay, calm down. And I was like, this girl, she literally is going to be on her phone this entire time. I was like, I'm going to just see how long it's going to take for her to start a conversation. Hour goes by, nothing happened. I'm just like, this is exactly what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
This is exactly what she desires out of a man.
Mm-hmm.
I had to come up with an excuse to leave. I was like, you know what, man, it's getting kind of late, cuz, you know what I mean? I think it's time for me. Never saw her again.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously.
So, yeah, those women like that create that lifestyle, and they want that high value, that desirable guy that they want to conform to that.
Yeah.
Because, this is my independent self. This is my true self. I am not going to come together and compromise anything.
Yeah, and there's this really popular quote that men always say, and Chris, you can finish the line.
Here we go.
And it's about women, and men say, can't live with them.
Can't live without them.
And the reality of the matter is, men understand, not that they want women, they need them. Every guy knows that. It's a headache, it's trauma, but we can't live without them. We need them. And then you have so many women today that say, I don't need a man. I don't need no 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 man. That's what they say. So think about the differences between the men who are like, we can't live with him, can't live without him, we need him. And the women who say, we don't need no man. Now, how can Miss I don't need no man, not even I don't need a man. How can now she create an interdependent relationship?
Impossible.
And so that is something in which a lot of girls, I was talking to this one girl, we're having a conversation about it, and she literally broke down in tears. And she said, I ruined my past relationship because she didn't have any ability to create a healthy interdependent relationship with a man. And so, like I keep on going back to, the what hurts me the most is what they want, and how for so many of these girls, they're so far away from what they want, and now they're in their late 30s, mid 30s, and they're just like, oh my gosh, where are the guys? And the reality of the matter, going back to another point, is that though some women get bad information, others get good information. And the ones that get good information, they're doing both. They're going to college, they're getting jobs, they're, taking care of themselves, but they're also making men a priority because they need men. And they're the ones who are marrying these guys. So what's going to happen is the guys that going back to that story you shared, all those guys that were knocking your door down in your 20s, by the time in your 30s, a lot of these guys are off the market, especially the marriage-minded ones.
Yeah.
See, that's what girls, I'm saying, there's multiple guys. They're the marriage-minded one, they're the fun guys, they're the guys who just like to, long-term girlfriends. The marriage-minded ones get snatched up pretty early. There's women who get married today.
Yeah.
And they're getting snatched up. And so what ends up happening is so many of these women are now struggling. And then in some weird sabotaging nature, they're giving that same advice that caused them to struggle to the younger girls.
Yeah.
They're posting on social media, on Instagram and all these apps, how happy they are, how, oh my gosh, self-love, me, I love me, but they're not happy. They're calling me in tears, but they're posting these pictures on social media showing a facade of a life that they're not really satisfied with.
That's a great point you made, bro. I think that whole social media is literally just fake.
So I think you are able to have a fulfilling life without a romantic relationship. Because if you didn't get one, there's no hope that you don't have a happy and fulfilling life. You just have to prioritize other forms of love and other forms of relationships and make sure that you nourish those ones to lead you to have a fulfilling life. However, I wanted a relationship. I wanted a life partner. I wanted a family. So I prioritize that, Now, sure, I'm also making sure that I check in on my friendships and make sure that those are being nourished as well. But and my family as well. But yeah, like that's what I wanted. So yeah, relationships involve compromise. Like that's another person or more. Like you gotta consider somebody outside of yourself. It's just fact of life. And I have said to Oso that I didn't need him as a romantic partner. I said I wanted him as a romantic partner, but I do need him in my life. I was like, because we're in a committed life partnership, so that exists outside of our romantic relationship. It's like, that's family. So like, I need him in my life. But romantically, if it wouldn't work out, like, I'll be okay. I want it. Don't get me wrong. I want it. And I make sure he knows that I want him as my romantic life partner. But I was like, I do need you in my life. Like, you add so much value to my life. I enjoy you. Like, I do need you in my life. As a part of my community, you know? But yeah, I don't want to live a life without him as my romantic partner. I don't want that at all. So, yeah. People gotta think about shit, you know, like self-reflect, figure out what you want, figure out what you're gonna work for. Like, this is real life. Like, yeah, you gotta respect this other person as a living being. Like, they got wants, desires, and needs too. Like, yeah, it's wild in these streets. How history has impacted the relationships within Black America is fascinating, and I'm only excited to see more of what comes as we get older, because I got my man. I don't know about the rest of you. I don't know. But all right, please like and share. We have to continue these conversations and open up more platforms for these conversations so more people can do these reflections, because woo! And yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe, help us grow this channel, get monetized. And yeah. Check out the rest of Rocky's reactions. I got a few videos out. Make sure you check them out. And yeah, take care of you. Peace and love.